Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. With me today, I've got Carol Ann Cooper and Shireen Lovegrove. Shireen, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, everybody. How are you? It's been a while, so I'm so excited to see you. I'm Sharon Lovegrove, and I help professional women who are perfectionists develop a resilient mindset so they can effectively deal with any challenge they confront while keeping their integrity and authenticity and power being their perfect, imperfect self. And I think today we're going to look at how that kind of runs through with the idea, how imposter syndrome affects your choice in life, your difficulty in thinking about what it is, how to pick your way. So I'm really excited about this topic. Thank you for having it today, also. And Caroline?
Thank you. It's so lovely to have you here again with us, Shireen. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I support women in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience free-flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their book written, getting their story written, because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So, our topic today is how to walk your own path. And Carol Ann, you chose this topic. And please, can you explain the topic to our audience and why are you basically passionate about the topic?
Yeah, as usual, I'm just flicking through some things, and I had that, in my mind, and I just saw this topic come up, and there was this phrase, and about walking your own path, and it just resonated with me because very often we try and follow other people's paths, we try and follow other people's systems, or we're looking to be told what to do, and then wondering why things don't work for us. And actually, it's about creating your own path. Something I read was trying to follow others' systems and routines doesn't always get you where you want to be. And actually, you usually end up feeling frustrated, even discouraged, and probably feeling a failure, that there's something wrong with you because other people seem to be able to fly with it, but you can't. And I remember, years ago, when we were at school, we were asked in cookery lessons, we had to create a lesson plan, a plan. And I hated it because I could never do it. We were given this grid, we were given these headings to do. We had to set it out in a certain way. And I would look at it and I'd go, it gave me a headache. But it did make me think about it. And I'd always been grateful because it got me in the way of planning a meal and looking at times and that. But it was only in recent years that I realized that actually, if I'd been allowed to create my own way of creating my own schedule, if I'd known exactly what I was, looking for, if I'd been able to create my own schedule and way of writing it, I would have been able to do it. Because trying to follow someone else's grid didn't work for me. And it was like a big aha moment. So again, walk your own path. Find your own way of doing something. And that's where the magic is. So that's why this topic, it just spoke to me. So there's lots of things we can explore with this. So So I hear you saying yes, Shireen. What grabbed you with
so
this?
much stuff for me. I love this topic. One is one of the things I do remember. I never did home economics except for my first 2 years. But what happened was I remember the same thing that you're talking about having, and I thought, oh my God. But what was really important is even though I didn't do that, I somehow had learned a little bit through my own cooking how timing. So I knew when to put things on. So I had my own way. And that was really interesting in just seeing that. But I think what really started to click back is, when there was a time when we knew what we wanted. Up to the age of 2 to 3, we just asked for what we wanted and we just got it, right? And then as we kind of start to socialize, all of a sudden the we that just knew what I want, try a 2-year-old and say, no, and they'll go, no. They sit there and they know what they want. That's their way. And yet we change people to fit in our way, in a way. And that's kind of when the first kind of imposters start coming in. But this is it. This is part of what we're talking about, is about how do you walk your own way? How do we connect back to that you, that is your essence, yeah? And walk in that path. And I think a lot of women are really, and a lot of men are, that we are in a place where you can still work for an employer and be happy and know that you're in your space, or you're in another kind of thing where you're self-employed and you might not be in your own space. But I think what's really important about the own way is really starting to think about, am I feeling expanded in that? And I love you in the sense of Carol Ann, when you talk about, you're the writer and the creator and the flow within. What other way to walk your way, to start your guidance, is to write your story. Because the moment you start writing your story and you're in flow, your way starts to unfold, doesn't it? And I really, while you were saying that, I was thinking, oh yeah, the writer within. Yes, we start rewriting our life because we're starting to listen to our essence. Instead of having other people tell us how to write, we just have kind of like the banks of the water, and there we flow in whichever way, around which rapids, whichever stream we want to go, and go off here or there. But it's our choice. So I love that. I love this topic.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you said about the banks and the river just flows. Because the river, the water just creates its own path, doesn't it? It doesn't say, oh, do I need to go that way, or it has to follow a certain channel. It creates its own path. And it just flows. Nomsa.
That's amazing. I like Carol Anna, when you were saying basically when you tried to create your path, copying someone else, it didn't work because it was never your path. You end up getting frustrated basically when you're creating your own path. And I'm glad that basically you started your own path, which is it's amazing. This path that you have created is unique, and that's what Goes the Talk Shows is about. Basically, seeing individual. What is amazing is you have these different coaches that Goes the Talk Shows, and you guys, it's the same voice, but you're individual. No one basically is doing what everybody is doing, what anyone is doing. You're all individual, and that's what is unique about it. And I like it when Sharon was saying you had to learn to cook, and you gave the example as a child that children, they learn their own style, they learn what they want to do, and if things don't work, they'll keep learning until they get it right. So I think it's very, very important to understand that creating our own path, there are going to be challenges. It's good to go on YouTube, just watch other people how they are creating their own path, and maybe buy someone else's courses, how they've created their own path, and teach you what you can do. But at the same time, you have to be individual. You have to be unique. You have to actually create your own. It's like Gavin is basically going through he lost his friend, Carol Ann, and his friend died, so he's just been really low. So he was like, when I watch Ngozi talk shows, I love it, guys. You guys are so unique. So I think it is nice basically to create your own path, and being authentic. It comes with the beauty. Doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. It comes with a balance as well, being authentic and writing your own story. So you have to balance it, and you have to have authority. Basically, you learn something and you have authority over it, and you have to be somebody that is not scared of taking action, because when you are creating your own path, some there will be times where you're gonna look at where you're going, and then you're gonna be really scared, and then you're gonna be like, you know what, I don't know whether this is going to work, but it is part of it. I've gone through it where I'm just going like, I'll learn things from people, and then I sit down and I'll be like, this is the path that I'm going. But then when I start looking at it, it is so big and it's so scary. And I'll be like, will I be able to do this? And I'll be like, then I'll pray, meditate, and then I know that I'm going to be okay. Because when you do something, there's not gonna be there's no easy way out. In doing something, you have to be able to conquer the fear. Those fears, you have to have courage, and that's why I'm so grateful with you guys, because you're all individual. If you look at Carol Ann, what she does is completely different from everybody else that went to goes the talk shows. And Shireen, you're doing completely something different. And Claudia, everybody else, we're all different. I think that is unique. It's so unique. She's a writing facilitator, and Amanda is actually a writer. So you facilitate writers. Why are you not collaborating, you two, Amanda and Carol Ann, by the way?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, need to think about that, because you'll be good with each other, like doing challenges together.
That's a good point. Something to think about. And it is about working, in collaboration, isn't it? With somebody.
Yeah, because your work, both of you complement each other, basically. If somebody wants to write, they have to start with you, do they, Carol Ann, right? Anyone that wants to become a writer, and then Amanda is the second stage. That's amazing. Over to you guys.
It is about so you're saying this is where what you were saying, Shireen, about that imposter syndrome sort of kicking in, because for me, having started out life as a maths teacher, and maths is my number one love, but having been on this journey now for 20 odd years and moving into becoming the writing facilitator, following what I call divine guidance and intuition, and constantly questioning, what am I doing, why writing, and coming into this realization that there is a lot of people that do want to write. Because in the beginning it was like, well, people keep saying there's a lot of people do want to write, and I'm going, well, where are they? And now I've seen them, I've been shown in lots of different groups and lots of different ways, but there's still an element of me that goes, but my work's different. They won't want to know, oh no, it's too simple, it's too this and it's too that, and it's not what they're after, and it's not about that. It's about recognizing what I've come to realize is recognizing what it is I do offer, but also listening to what it is they want, and then being able to use their language and say, look, this is how I can support you to get what you want. And what I've realized is that, yes, what I do is unique, because I'm talking about you finding your answers from within, and your writing, your words, and also your ability to write. I know that And I used to experience this a lot, and a lot of people go, oh, my hand won't keep up with my thoughts. And somebody said this the other day, and I said, well, does your hand feel tight? And is it aching now? And she said, yeah. I said, well, there's a lot of tension in you. And so it's about being able to release that tension so that actually your pen can flow as quickly as your thoughts. And that's where I've found that actually by doing this inner work, unlocking the writer within and freeing up what has had me struggle with writing, struggle with words, my writing has become more fluid, my arms much more relaxed, and therefore it is quicker. It's not so much of a struggle, a scribble, a struggle and a scribble. It's more flowing, and my words have become better formed through the activities that I've been doing. And so it is recognized that it is possible, rather than shutting off and going, oh no, I can't do that. Because handwriting is important. It's important to write by hand. And I know there's a lot of people, oh, no, I prefer to type. But actually you don't get that same connection.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get that same flow. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And I use both sides of the body. It's not just about using your preferred hand, as we call it. It's about using your other hand, that supporting hand. In educational kinesiology, we used to call them the dominant hand, but we've stopped calling it that now. One is the leading hand, or the leading eye, or the leading foot, or because one leads, the other supports and follows. So it's about being aware you've got two hands, you've got two legs, you've got two eyes, you've got two ears. They both are working together, and it's allowing them to work together. And so how does your non-preferred hand support your preferred hand? Are you actually aware of it? How does it support it? And when you use your other hand to write with, what does your preferred hand want to do? Take over? Does it not do anything? But how could it support? So again, it is this, where do you want to take over from somebody, or somebody wants to take over from you? It isn't about both leading. It's about leading and supporting and being able to change that role. So I've sort of come to realize that I have got something unique, something to offer, and I'm still keeping going. And it's just, again, having that confidence to trail my own path. And I found that quote by Robert Frost, and it's one that I read, oh gosh, years ago, and I never really, it sort of made sense, but I never really got it. I looked at it again last night, and it was like, oh my goodness, it's like something clicked. It's the one that says, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And it's like, oh my goodness, that's where your breakthrough is, by taking that less traveled path, by creating your own path and walking it. So yeah, it's about not being frightened to do that. It's about having that courage to say, all right, I want to walk my own path. And yes, you get a bit, it can get a bit lonely, but there are people along the way to support you. And it's being able to recognize those people and reaching out and asking for support. So take that courage, take that plunge, take that step, take the road less traveled.
M. Scott Peck.
Sorry?
M. Scott Peck wrote the book, Travel, the road less
Ah,
traveled. I don't know whether you read it. It's a long time ago I read it.
okay,
There's about a
okay. It's just a, yes, cool. No,
which is interesting, but lovely,
yeah.
lovely, interesting book. And I love that. That's that wonderful quote. And I think one thing that really is resonating for me here, and it just feels so real, is the idea of you talking about, you know, the hand and how the hand writes and how the hand was flowing. And I believe, and this is it, I think our, you know, our body is the energy that is the soul in some ways. It's our essence, it's our being. And when there's no obstructions, then that essence is going to flow, and it will flow, as you said, as fast as your thoughts, because there'll be no time space between your thoughts and your hand, because the thoughts and the hand are one.
Yes.
And that is really something that really felt a deep spiritual connection there in that moment, because it is a very deep spiritual connection, isn't it? Because you're going
Yes.
to you. You're going back to you. That's it within. And all you're doing with that vessel, you know, the hand is the vessel that's going to write what is. And I think that that's such a, you know, we all have a unique thread of genius. There's no one here that's similar. No one here in this whole world that is exactly the same as you. And even if you were cloned, your experience of how you're born would be different. So you automatically would be different, whether it was a clone to you or not. So you might have some of the commonalities, but what so much changes in our life experience that, you know, there can never be a you. There can never ever be the same you, right? So
Yeah.
you are the unique gift to the world. You are the unique gift. And who's the you? Who's you? Well, you're the writer within. You write and you speak and you do from the within. And when we start to really focus on that, and it's just so amazing, because you are a teacher, and I do remember there was something that about the left and the right and different kinds of things with the brain, which was something that I looked at a long, long time ago. But I absolutely love your idea, and you've just opened something for me, which is, thank you, was the idea of the right, that, you know, what hand is leading and what hand is supporting. That is so important, because sometimes we don't necessarily pay attention to what hand is doing the supporting and how is it doing the supporting, you know, and we can ask those kinds of questions. So I started thinking about, you know, the inner child work, where you write with one hand and you ask the other hand what it wants, what it needs, what's the truth about this for you, yeah, because all truth is relative. Except for universal truth, I'm guessing. Even that might be relative. But I think that, you know, there's something so important in just being aware of the hands. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You have on today for some reason. Wisdom from Carol.
Thank you. And I think my phone is getting a bit hot, so I might have to just duck out for a few minutes and then come back in again. Yeah, I'll put some ice on it or something. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut out for a minute. Okay, and I'll come back.
Ice cap for it.
Yeah.
Did you is it charging at the same time while you're broadcasting, Carol Ann?
Yeah.
Okay, you should charge it separate before the broadcast.
Even if I'm not charging it, it heats up. Let me just leave and I'll come back in. So you carry on the conversation. Okay.
I like it, Shireen, when you say we write with one hand and you have to ask the other one what basically it wants. I think that is amazing. That is a good example of creating your own path, because if you do that, and that means you're communicating with yourself. And I like it when you talk about the uniqueness, that we are unique, basically. And I think it's important for everyone to understand that uh, we were born basically to be different. We're not born to do the same thing. We're born to be different. Imposter syndrome basically is your profession. That's what you do. Basically, I think we basically, like when you were saying, like, uh, you can find your answers within. Is it Carol Ann that said you can find your answers, or was it you? That whatever answers you're looking for, you can find them within. I think it's very, very important for people to understand that when you are born and you have two parents, and the parents, they have their own idea of what you should be, and as you grow up as a child, you start learning, you start creating your own journey. And you find that when you look at your parents, you start creating your own path. Um, and relearning everything that you've been taught by your parents. So it's very, very important for people to understand that um, when you creating your own path, it will require basically you to get out of your comfort zone. It will require you to be somebody that is not afraid in taking action. Uh, Believe in what you envision about yourself. Some people have this big vision about what they want and what they think they should be. Uh, but they've never really, like Shireen, you saying, right? And then ask this other hand. They've never really asked themselves deep questions. What do I really want? You find that they are in a relationship and where they don't want to be, or they're doing business, or they're doing work that they don't really want to be. And when you ask them, they are unhappy. So I think it's very, very important to actually do this thing that Shireen is talking about, that ask yourself some questions, write down. Carol Ann says that typing is it's not good for you. Writing, I don't like really typing. I like writing pen. And my father-in-law is always, he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm writing. And he goes, that is a whole lot of papers there you're writing. I'm like, I'm getting my head to be basically to be creative. So I write things, and then you find there's papers everywhere. So I was sitting with him one day. Now he's got used to it because we've been living with him for a long time. He'll be like, oh, you're writing, oh, writing. So it is very, very important to understand that we are here to create our own lives. And we can look at someone and say, wow, but we don't know what they had to go through creating that life, creating whatever they're creating. It's like we have lots of coaches here, but as the individual, I know when I have a problem with something, I know which one to contact by just listening to you guys when you speak and how you do things. So if I'm writing like something, like I'm writing a topic, and I know that Carol Ann, I have to contact Carol Ann. And if I'm struggling to find, like, if I need different topics, like the 5 topics the same time, I get hold of Amanda and say, listen, can you have a look at your uh, goals, your diary? Is there anything that you think we can use? And she knows that she can give me the topics and stuff. And Carol Ann sometimes uh, almost every single day I ask you for topics. Do I, Carol Ann? And when you get stuck, you get stuck. Even when I have a topic, I always keep it for some other time and ask different things. So thank you for that, Shireen. I think it's very, very important to ask ourselves this other hand, what do you really want? Although I'm writing, does that really make sense? What I want.
Mm.
And if you really, really connect with it, just go for it. Don't worry about people gonna judge you, or people always have opinions. Always have opinions of what you shouldn't do, what you should do, but your opinion matters. My opinion, it doesn't matter, because if I didn't make you, I cannot define you. I cannot tell you you can't do this or what you can do. All I can do is support and listen to your dreams, and ask you what part do you want me to play, and then help you. We don't have to have the same beliefs. So thank you so much for that, Carol Ann and Shireen. Over to you, Carol Ann.
Yeah, there's always a way to way to do something. My laptop's now working, so my phone is cooling down. So again, it's finding what works for you, and how you can make it work. But it's always focusing on what it is you want to achieve. And if one way doesn't work, there's always another way. And what I like, when I read something last night about face your errors. It's better to go wrong in your own way rather than go right in someone else's,
Mm.
because then you're learning. And there is no such thing about you being a failure. Again, it's listening to the language. And yes, you failed to achieve what you want to achieve. Doesn't mean you're a failure. And so be aware of collapsing the two things, making it mean something about yourself.
Mm.
Because all it is just, you fail to do something, it's feedback. So you just go, okay, I did this. This is what happened. What do I now need to do in order for me to be able to move forward towards success and get what I want? And again, finding your own path, it may mean that other people might ridicule you, they might criticize you, they might even reject you. But actually, if you keep going, you'll come out the other side.
Mm.
And I know that with Brain Gym, with educational kinesiology, Paul Dennison, he started in 1969 with his research, and it's grown out of that research that he started then. But along the way, he's had a lot of criticism and a lot of questioning, because of there's no proper scientific backing at the moment, or it appears to be, but science is starting to catch up.
Mm.
There are things that I'm hearing that science is saying, and I'm going, we were saying that, years ago. And so, and he's kept going. He's adapted. He's continually reviewed, listened to his language, how he explains it and talks about it. But I have a lot of admiration for him, the way he's kept going. Him and his wife, Gail, they come from the heart, and they're always learning. They're always wanting to know more. And how can they support others with their learning? It's all about getting rid of those blocks and being able to have that optimal learning experience and learn with ease. And so, all these years later, it's starting to pick up now. Brain Gym is starting to get asked about, talked about, and people are much more open to that conversation. And I know when I first trained in it 22 years ago and took it back into school, it was like I hit this enormous mountain of resistance and deaf ears, and I couldn't explain what I was doing. All I knew was there was something here that changed my daughter's life and ability to access learning. And it was also changing how I was teaching and how my students were accessing learning. So that's why I had to step out to go on this whole journey for myself. And it's been an amazing journey, but it is beautiful. So it takes time. And I think sometimes you think we have this idea, oh, it's got to be quick, it's got to be quick. I need it tomorrow. And I've had to learn patience along the way. And there has been times where I've gone, oh God, Lord, how much longer? You know? And then something happens and I go, okay, it's a deeper level of trust and deeper level of faith and patience, because it does happen, you know, and the more you continue on your path, something just clicks into place. And it's just like smooth running. And so you can then just look back and you go, oh, and you notice all the little stepping stones that happened along the way. And that's when I've been in tears, when I found something from, you know, my notes from many years ago and goals I've set and how I've worked on them and where I'm now, and seen everything that's unfolded in between. It's like, oh my goodness, I set that in motion then. And it's just trusting that the support will come, but you have to take the action, because that's where you get the feedback. It either works or it doesn't. You get what you want or you don't. But if you don't take the action, you never know. And that's what happened to me when I started doing my writing challenge last year. I'd had this idea for a few years about doing a writing challenge. And I eventually thought, oh, let's bite the bullet. I did it last year, and I think I've done 6 or 7 now. And with more and more people registering and participating. And it's been amazing. The more each time I've run it, and the shifts that people have had with it, it's like, I have to keep going. I have to keep going with this, because the conversation opens up. They start realizing that they have a potential within them that then they're starting to tap into. They had no idea that they were capable of. And their writing is changing in the most magical way. And so it is, you know, helping them to realize that it is within, and just have a bit of fun. So I do have a writing challenge coming up, the 4th of July, which I've been holding back and not saying anything. So it's like time to start putting it out there again and allow people to enjoy the magic of connecting within, and connecting with that writer, connecting with that piece of writing that maybe you stopped writing, especially your story, because I know that's the most emotional one. That's the one is so vulnerable with. But that's the one that will help shift your life if you can write that one. But also, there's healing within writing your story. It's a healing journey, and that's something that I've experienced a lot of healing in different ways. So shrug off that imposter syndrome cloak and take on the one. No, this is my journey. This is who I am. This is who I can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. The idea, and there's so many things that I didn't write them down, but I certainly know one of the things that I was really listening to was the idea of the brain gym, and the idea that there's never a mistake. There's only learnings. It's never a mistake. And what you do is not who you are. And I think sometimes, certainly in the case of imposter syndrome, everybody makes what they do about who they are. And so they say, I'm a failure. But no, what you do was something that may not have worked out, but who you are is somebody completely different. You are something magnificent. And so the thing is, when we make these two, we complete these two together, we're in trouble. And as we begin to recognize that, as we start to decide how we are doing, how we are being, the doing being, that then starts to translate out to the action of how we achieve whatever it is that we're going to achieve. So it's lovely. And I think what was so powerful is to hear about your goals, Carol Ann, and how you had been putting those footsteps or those the stones to get your pathway along, and you're starting to see how they all sort of came around. And I wrote my book, right? The first book I wrote because I lost a lot of weight and I had done the 5-2, and I wrote there, but my imposter syndrome caught up. I may have touched on a little bit of stuff, but it never touched on the imposter syndrome, right? And then when I wrote the next book, it was imposter syndrome. And it was healing in a very big way, because for the first time I was showing me. I was showing, we had been taught as teachers that you don't do, teachers or nurses or therapists, you don't show people your emotions. You don't tell them, because they mustn't see that you're broken too on some level. We're never broken. We just got out of different facets. And what really started to kind of shift for me into the healing was really being able to learn how to kind of get to that place where I could take accountability, but not blame. How I could look at that without shame. How I could look at it without disdain. How could I, look at it and not think, how could you be like that? How could you have done that? So really those kinds of things. So for me, that's when the healing really started to take place. Not necessarily in the writing, but in the writing was that facilitator that started the process of kind of going deeper into my psyche, or deeper into that space where I could kind of let go of stuff and feel me. And I think then the expansion started to happen in a very different way. And I think it's so important just to know that, I think it's hard sometimes if you've carried a negative voice in your head and you've not dealt with it properly. When you do something stupid, you say, you stupid idiot. But no, I did something silly. Not that I am silly, right? And we have to be aware of that even when we talk to other people, to separate the two out. Who you are is not what you do. It's just about what you're doing here may not be the optional of what you're being inside. So, and that's the only evidence we have that there's something going on in our brain that's not working correctly sometimes, is when we have the outward experience.
And I think I like what you said there, and maybe it's just rephrasing that it's not going, rather than it not going correctly, it's going in its own way to show us something, to teach us what it is that in that moment is there for us to learn. Because we all have our own learning journey.
Yeah.
And that's why all our experiences are different. And that's why things happen differently for us to other people, because we have a certain things to learn. Other people, their journey might not be to learn that. But it is recognizing what is showing up for us, what is there for us to learn. So what looks as though might not be correct or might be going wrong, if you look at it and go, oh, so actually rephrase that, because again, it's making it wrong in itself. Just go, it's just acknowledging this is what's happened, and it's not quite what I wanted. It's not very comfortable. So how can I learn? What is here for me to learn? What's the lesson it's come to show me? And in that respect, all of a sudden, it's like, it's got a purpose. It can help you to move on, and then you can let it go. Because once you've learned the lesson, those things very rarely come up again. And sometimes it may seem, because you think sometimes something shows up again and you think, it's happened before. but actually it could be a different perspective on it, a different angle to it. So rather than saying, oh, I've looked at this before, I've sorted this, I think, well, no, it's here for a reason. This event, this trauma, this whatever happened is here to show me something else. And that I've learned through revisiting many times events in my life that have, when I've woken up to them or started healing them and the trauma's shifted. There's different aspects. It's like, oh my goodness, there's so many different angles that it comes from. I just go, okay, what have you come to teach me today? I'm certainly much more accepting rather than going, oh God, why are we here again? It's about being open because there's so many different angles and we're multifaceted beings. So there's so many facets to us, and I've realized that traumas can actually it just explodes us into pieces. It's like when I've realized I've gone like this. It's about bringing all those pieces together, those different parts of me, those different angles, and bringing them back so I'm then whole. And that's what healing is about. It's bringing you back to wholeness. So certainly those negative voices, it's about listening to them, isn't it? It's about observing them and recognizing them. And I love what you said about observing things rather than being caught up in it, into the emotion or whatever. It is about being able to be that observer. And right from there, heal from there, move on from there, learn what you need to learn. And when you can take up that observer role, it's actually the most magical position to be in. And it's a very powerful position as well.
Yeah.
Very powerful position.
Yeah. I think in NLP it says the one in all communication, the one who has the greatest flexibility is the one that actually controls the system.
Yes.
And it means we cannot not communicate, but how we communicate in the system. So if we have the ability to go into somebody else's shoes, if we have the ability to go into that observer role, and we have the ability to know ourselves, and we really have power. I mean, not power over, but we have power to create our life in a very different way, don't we?
Yeah.
So, and I think it's being able to swap all of these and know which one you're in, and how do you get into that other observer place when you're in that situation where you go, oh, what have I done here? Oh, okay. Something to learn.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because that gives us a distance, doesn't it? The observer gives us the distance from the feeling, so that we don't have to, we don't get caught up in it and sucked up.
Yeah.
So easy.
I know. Yeah.
And it is a bit of an addiction, because you go, how delicious, I can go there. But we afterwards.
Oh, what a lovely word, delicious.
Delicious.
Yeah, something seduces you. It does.
Yeah, come back to our old habit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also important to actually, if you believe in what you have envisioned your life to be, it's important to really, like you were saying, you should really observe your foundation and build your foundation. And Carol Annie talked about when you are basically creating your own path. And some people may not believe in you. You might lose some friends, you might lose some family members. And it is important that when those people basically turn against you, because people will, they will turn because not because of what you've done something wrong, is because they don't have the courage to actually do what you can do. So, and when they do, you don't have to follow them. You can keep creating your own path. If they're meant to come back to you, they will come back, but you still need to create that good foundation, build your foundation, water it, and trust. Carol Ann, you spoke about trust. It's very, very important basically to trust. For me, basically, when things are not going right in my life, I have to ask myself, I have to say out loud that God, I know that things are not going well at this minute, but I trust you. I really, really trust you with all my heart because you have to trust the promises. If you have whatever your beliefs that might be, you might believe in the universe. Trust the promises that the universe that are promising you. And for me, I trust in God that whatever I'm doing, like Carol Anna, you talk about revisiting the events. I revisit the events every now and then, checking me out if I am actually basically like it's like the forgiveness. I revisit the forgiveness and do meditation of forgiveness. I revisit my inner child and do meditation for my inner child. I revisit conflict. Because when you have conflict with people inside, that energy stays. So you have to meditate to making sure that you connect with yourself. And Sharina, you talk about shame. I think shame and guilty is the what people struggle with when they're making decisions. There's a shame that what if I start dating somebody and things don't work out? I'm gonna feel ashamed, and my friends will be like, "We told you so." If I start my business, people will be talking, be saying if things don't work out, or people will be saying, "We told you so," and then you feel guilty. Carol Anna, you spoke about failure. We're learning about failure. I think the failure is a lesson. It's there to teach us something. When we fail, there are so many things like with my business. If you ask me anything that I designed and it was easy, if you asked me to teach you, I wouldn't be able to teach you. But where I failed, and then I had to revisit my plan. I can tell you how to do it because I failed and I had to recreate the plan, and the plan that has helped me to be where I am today. So it is very, very important to actually build a strong foundation in your life and make sure that the seeds you plant in that foundation is the seeds that are going to help you to grow, is the values that aligns with what you want to do, and your beliefs. And people talk about your true authenticity, but when it comes to making our own decision, we neglect ourselves. And make sure that when you build that foundation, it is true to you, and don't worry about what people will think. And what about shame? We don't worry about shame. I have had basically times in my life where I've worried about if I don't do this, the people are going to judge me. But now I just realize that actually it's me that has to basically focus on me. If I make mistakes, it's my mistakes. I need to learn from it. I need to sit down and learn from it. Whatever happens in that journey when I'm creating my life, if there will be challenges. I need to be able to take off my high heels and climb the mountain, not to keep them on. I shouldn't be afraid of taking off my high heels. Taking off your high heels, it means when you fail, you're able to say, Shireen, could you please help me? You are able to say, Carol Ann, could you please help me to climb the mountain? Because when you keep your high heels, it means you are ashamed. It means you're feeling guilty. It means you're worried about what people think because you don't know something. So we don't have to know everything, but we just have to know where we want to go and then learn along the way. So our dreams and become who we are meant to be. There's gonna be pain. There's gonna be tears. There's going to be so many challenges along the way, but the good thing about it is that's why we have God. God takes care of, He wipes away the pain, He wipes away shame, He wipes away our guilt. He wipes away our tears. So that's why we shouldn't be afraid.
Oh, absolutely. There's no need to be afraid. I love what you said. You just need to know where you want to go. And it is about owning your mistakes. And that's very often some people, they blame others. It's like blame. Oh, it's not my fault. But whatever, in that moment, you weren't present. So that created whatever happened. And something happened that wasn't what you wanted. And it is about owning it and owning your part in it. And I know I often have this conversation with my grandson. Oh, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. So when he knocks something over or something, gets broken. I said, but you weren't present. Notice your part in that. Because if you're actually present in that moment, it wouldn't have happened. There are no such thing as accidents. You are not present in that moment. And he just sort of looks at me and he's still a bit about it. But I still keep on, it's about owning something, you did do it. You caused it in some way. Own it and just own up to it and say, okay, it happened. There's nothing wrong, not being angry or anything. It's just, I want you to actually recognize you were not present in that moment. You weren't present to where your hand was or what it was doing, and it knocked a cup over because you weren't present. So do recognize when things don't go quite your way, or there's a, so say, accident. Were you actually present, fully present in that moment? What can you take ownership of and responsibility for? And go, okay, take that ownership, take that responsibility and say, right, well, in future, what I can be responsible for is being present in each and every moment. And okay, things don't always work out. We go off with the fairies sometimes, but it is actually bringing yourself back to taking ownership of it. Own those mistakes. Own up to that lack of presence and recommit. It's just keep recommitting, keep saying, yes, I got it. I got it. And, but yeah, knowing where you want to go. So you need to have a clear vision of what is it you want. And it is holding that vision. And it's like, who do you want to be based on your vision? And who are you being right now? And it is about being. Who are you being? And so who do you want to be? Who will you be based on your vision? What will you be doing? And what will you have? So if you build all that into your vision as well. And I love what Errol Ozone said. Some beautiful paths can't be discovered without getting lost. And I think, yeah, okay. And I think this is where I've been. Since last August, I started to feel completely lost. What am I doing? I was questioning. Is this really what I'm meant to be doing? I felt completely lost. And yet within that, I've started to rediscover things, and I'm starting to slowly come out of that lostness with more clarity. And I'm always saying, I'm never lost. I might not know where I am at the moment, but I'll find the way. And that's a phrase I've been saying for years. And I know even my grandson, when I'm driving, he says, oh, you lost now? And I go, no, just not quite sure where I am at the moment, but I'll find where I'm going. So I always say, no, I'm not lost. But I love that, yes, there's some beautiful paths can't be discovered without getting lost. So be willing to get lost. Be willing to lose your way. You don't have to know the path in front of you. Just take the steps and see what opens up. And that's where the beauty comes and the magic. And people show up along the way. There's another quote I read. It's, let each man take the path according to his capacity, understanding and temperament. His true guru will meet him along that path. And it comes back to that phrase, isn't it? When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Right.
Yeah. So just be willing and open, and just keep taking the steps. Know what it is you want and take the actions. And just keep reviewing. And welcome lostness when it comes. Just welcome it, embrace it. I know there's been times where I've been going, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I'm giving up. I'm just giving up. I can't do this anymore. But I've sat with that, allowed myself to feel it, and touch into there's something deeper that keeps me going. And then some other people have shown up that are now supporting me along the way. And I go, no, you know, what they're sharing with me and what they've seen with me, it's like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I can see that all the experience I've had has cleared the way, and something is opening up. It's just magic. I love that word, don't you, Shane? Life is magical when you let it happen.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you always have such beautiful quotes, which I really love. And yes, I loved your idea of being willing to be lost, being willing to walk a different way. And last night was interesting. I was on a Zoom, and someone said, "Oh, I just heard something different, which was let's find a way instead of let's a way together instead of a way." And I love words, so this is really important. And I'm also aware that I always have in my little Bible when I was little, it was always, I am the way, the truth, and the life. It is really about, I am a way, I am a truth, and I'm a life. And for me, that's really important because each of us have our own way.
Yeah.
But your way is purely yours.
Yeah.
You come into this world, although you've got people around you, you come into this world directly alone. Yeah. And you will go all the way through life, and you have to be in your way with you. And I think that's really important to kind of understand that and to see it for what it is, that you are this unique thread of genius, this divine spark. Then you've been given this life. And yeah, it may not always gone the way you wanted. But I think when you kind of look at it from the point of, this is my learning, this is my lesson, this is my, oh, what's here? And if you come with the idea that this is only a roadblock, this is, there is always a way around it in some way. As you said, get lost. If you don't get lost, it doesn't give you a moment to just go in. Because otherwise we're then on the outside, always moving forward. Sometimes we do need to go deeper in order to go forward even further. And I think that's really important. And I love something about what your friend with Brain Gym was all about, is the fact that, the Buddha, how many thousands of years before, 4,000 years ago, talked about purposeful intent, talked about doing things on a regular basis, talked about doing these micro movements, just hearing sound, what was going on there. So, hey, we're finding this out with MRIs now. So the evidence of all of your brain gym is coming. And I think once we start to really see that evidence, I think people are more likely to do, I think there'll be a big jump for that couple because they've got, they've studied and they've carried on and they've carried on and they've been consistent and had a consistent message.
That's the key word, consistent. And I'm sorry about that noise. Yeah, it was someone outside. So I muted myself. But consistency, another powerful word there. Yeah. Nonsense. You wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was saying, yeah. Thank you so much, ladies, and thank you so much, Shireen. That's my favorite scripture as well. And the way, the truth, and the life. I even wrote it in the Bible with my hands as well, so that I can remind myself when I'm going through something, when I'm creating my path, and when things are not going well, and I just look and say, "He's the way, He is the truth, He is life." So I just do that. And thank you so much for today. Any words of encouragement, Carol Ann, before we leave?
Oh yeah, the quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." So you are the leader, and just enjoy the journey, enjoy the exploration. Walt Disney says, "Curiosity keeps leading us down new paths." So be curious. What new path could you go down today? Where could this path take you? It's not very well trodden. How about let's tread it, see where it can take you. So you never know. You just never know. Just having the courage, the curiosity, and the willingness to forge your own path and be true to who you are. Know yourself and be yourself. And everything else just falls into place. Shireen, you got some last words you'd like to leave?
I echo all that you say, and I think what I'm kind of thinking about is Dr. Seuss, who says nobody can do you like you, and to really just own that. I think that's a really important thing. And I think the most powerful thing is to really understand one key thing. Your identity, who you are, is not what you do. What you do can change. Who you are is where you are at this given moment, and that's also changeable. Because as you start to shift and change, then what you do becomes different. So as you talk about the vision, if you see a vision, you've got to match your frequency, you've got to match your actions according to that vision that you want. Yeah. So where you are right now is not at that vision level. But every day that you connect with that vision and you say, who do I need to be in this vision? Do I need to have this? Every one of those days that you align to that, that you walk in that path, you start to create those trails that are different from anybody else's because you're creating your vision. Yeah. So those are the two things that really matter to me. And that's, that you are not who you do, what you do. But if they become aligned in a different way with intention, then, well, you are then creator of your change.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. For me, basically, creating your own path requires you to know your values and have a relationship with them in your beliefs and harmonize them in your heart. Write them down as well, because when you write something down, as Carol Ann was saying, it will basically help you basically to remind yourself what you stand for when things are not working your way. And when you going off your path, you look at your values and they are in your heart, they are on paper. So it will make you say, okay, no, that's not who I am. This is who I am. So, and stick to that. Don't be ashamed of that as well. That who you will be. Just be who you want to be. And God bless everyone. We are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. UK time. And please, if you want to connect with any of our coaches, please do by going to our page at Ngozi Talk Shows or follow them direct at on their social media and all of them. Like Shireen, she's using Shireen Love Group on her social media, and Carol Ann as well. Cooper, she's using the same name on her social media, and just follow them and get in touch with them if you want to find your own voice and lead from within. And YouTube family subscribers, please subscribe to our channel. God bless and live with grace.